Alright guys, TacticalRabbit here. CWL Fort Worth begins tonight. Currently when this video is being uploaded it's about 4 PM my local time, which means it goes live in 3 hours does CWL Fort Worth in terms of Central European time. That's 8 PM Central European time, 3 PM Eastern Standard Time and 12 PM Pacific Standard Time. So by the time you're watching this video it may well already have started, so watch the video then go and watch the event at the link in the pinned comment below this video, as I always do. Today I thought I'd go through my top 5 players to watch for this event because it's going to be an exciting one. Optic Gaming I guess are the favourites, but maybe not the clear favourites this time around, having not seen them with Dashy in 3 months on LAN per se. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of other teams that could potentially mix it up. We'll see how it goes down the line. These are my top 5 players to watch. A lot of honourable mentions that could potentially be talked about here. I'm sure your guys' list will look rather different to mine, but hope you guys enjoy the video regardless. So like if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I really appreciate it. 10k is, I can taste it. So yeah, let's get right on with the video. First up, I want to talk about Simp. This is my player number 5. Now, this guy is not in the pro section of the tournament. Fort Worth has 2 sections. We have the professional section and we have the open section. So, the 16 teams in the league are in the professional section. They are in the 4 pools of 4 teams, and usually the open teams have the opportunity to make it into pool play, and then on Sunday we have this situation where they'll face off against each other, and usually it's pretty one-sided. This time around, the open bracket is a completely separate venture, so the team that wins will place effectively top 17 behind all the pro teams, and well, Simp is one of these players that could potentially do rather well here. So these are all the teams. I'll leave a link to this resource on CoD Gamepedia down in the description box below, and Simp is on this FaZe Clan Black team with Asim, Phantoms, Gravity and Celium. Now Celium also could be a player to watch, but this is Simp's first ever real MLG, CWL professional LAN. Just effectively turned 18. He's played a lot of LANs before when he was younger, local events and the like, and as you can see, won a fair few of them. He's now E-United's substitute, and what's interesting here is that E-United supposedly are having some internal issues, and if they don't perform to the caliber that we'd expect of them this event, then Simp may very well be in the team come midway through April. It's definitely possible, so I'll be really interested to see how he performs here. Of course, it's not the best competition over in the open bracket, but we'll have to see how he does manage to perform. Been touted as a superstar for a long time now, back in Black Ops 3, online was just unbelievable, and yeah, finally he's going to get his chance to actually play at a LAN here, not on a pro team yet, but maybe that will come around on E-United going forward. So yeah, I think Simp's definitely a talent to keep your eyes on. Second up, I'm going to go with Dylan on this Reciprocity squad. So Denz decided to effectively step down from being on the team. Dylan has come into the squad, and well, he was spectacular at the Pirelli qualifier and also at Vegas. Been said as maybe one of the best players outside the league. He gets this opportunity on Reciprocity, definitely maybe the UK's best talent that we've seen in a while here that could potentially be coming up and competing at the professional level. Of course, these guys have a really difficult pool. Optic Gaming, E-United and Team Envious. Whether they can get out of this is a difficult one, but Dylan has been a spectacular talent throughout his career so far, even though it's been a very short one. He was on that Team Sweden squad, but now he's on an established organisation with a team house and the ability to practice on LAN and the like, so he's finally getting like a real opportunity, I guess you could say, on a proper team, and we'll see how he performs here, because yes, he's going to be using the SMG on this team alongside Zed. Definitely a role where there was potential to be upgraded, I think, in terms of Denz. It doesn't bring too much to that particular role, so he's now moved to the substitute and Dylan is coming into the starting lineup. So whether this team can turn their fate around with Dylan and really start competing with fantastic teams in the division, it's going to be on a knife's edge, I'm sure. But Wuskin, Shawnee and Zed definitely have experience beating teams like this, and Tommy as well last year under Splice took down that Optic Gaming squad. Wuskin, Zed and Shawnee did it under Nieuwland, of course. Now they have Dylan in the team. Definitely some potential upsets on the cards here, and if he performs as we know he can, then maybe Reciprocity can even take one of these series and even possibly make it out of the group. I think he could be the difference maker if he plays how we have seen of him at the Pirelli qualifier, where he had this 1.23 overall KD, 1.17 adjusted KD, and considering that's over 29 maps, that is a rather striking statistic. So we've got Simp, we've got Dylan, and the next player up is going to be Major Maniac. So this guy was superb at the Pro League qualifier. He was really good at the start of the Pro League, especially in Search and Destroy, has still been rather spectacular. He tends to be a Maddox player on the whole, but he really had a difficult second week. Now, Genji, of course, they finished 6-1 in the Pro League, only losing that final series to, I believe they lost to Midnight right at the end, and then number 1 seed in Division A or Pool A here. Now they have Envoy into the team, of course, instead of Space Lee. You could definitely argue that Envoy should be a player to watch. Can he perform as well as he did on Midnight in this new environment, definitely up for question, but I think Maniac is the key factor here, because if Maniac plays well, this team can be deadly, and he was really struggling in the hardpoint in the second half of the Pro League matches that they played. So if he can get back to that hardpoint form that we kind of expect from him and that we've seen from him earlier on in the year, then this team really could be a contender. So I think it's on him as kind of that X factor to some degree. I like talking about X factors, and I think if Maniac's playing super well, this team is deadly. The fact that they were able to do so well without him playing that well in hardpoint is a really big factor, and if he steps up his game back to like even a 1 KD, and theoretically Envoy should be an upgrade over Spacely in terms of the statistics, then this team could get significantly better in hardpoint. Maybe their Search and Destroy will suffer due to, chemistry and less experience and the like with this squad than they have with Spacely, but I think Maniac really is the key factor here. So courtesy of EasyMac, these are his statistics in the Pro League so far. These are all the series that he has played, and as you can see in the hardpoint statistics on the right hand side of your screen, started off really strong, but going into that second week he got destroyed on a lot of these maps, especially Gridlock. Played that every single day and had a hard time pretty much every single time apart from that match against UYU. He tends to be really good with the Annihilator. Not really sure what was going wrong with his hardpoint in this second week, but if he can get that back up to scratch, this is an interesting player to keep your eye on, because if he plays well, Genji can definitely be a force long term in this tournament. So next up here we're going to look at Luminosity Gaming. Now of this team, who would you pick as your player to watch? I'm going to go with John. Now I think a lot of people would say Slacks here because he had a really good second half of the Pro League and had a really good KD in that second week, definitely higher than people would have expected of him. So now we have this situation where Formula Gunless, you know what you're going to get out of them most likely. The only reason why I'd put these are my players to watch this was because, players to watch because you'll be mind blown, or you'll learn so much about the game, or you'll just, be incredibly entertained by how good they are at the game, for example. But to watch in terms of how good this team could potentially do, Classic, John and Slacked really are the ones to look for here. And I think that Slacked and Classic have been relatively solid. They've decided to keep them on the team. Definitely the ones that were in contention for getting kicked off this squad if they were going to make a roster change. But John is really the man that we've got to talk about here, because he always gets better throughout the year. He's been a superstar SMG, hasn't been so good at the start of this year, but to the second week of the Pro League, Slacked really got all the storylines, but John was a lot of the times the one performing, especially on frequency. He tends to absolutely go off on that map nowadays, and the fact that he should get better as the year goes on in terms of what history tells us, he's my player to watch here. If he is to that John level performance that we've seen from him at the end of World War II and especially at the end of Black Ops 3, then this team can genuinely be a contender long term. When I talk about X Factors, I really think John is the X Factor for this team. If he's playing well, if he's even hitting snipes in Search and Destroy, this team is deadly. You need that trio of John, Formal, Gunless to be firing on all cylinders for this team to make a deep run in the tournament. You know the second two you're going to have, but John has been a little bit of a liability so far at times. Definitely seems to have been improving in the second week of the Pro League though, so if he performs here, I genuinely think LG have a great shot down the stretch. And once again, courtesy of EasyMac, these are his statistics in the Pro League against all the teams they played. So to start the first week, it was not looking good at all. 0.97, 0.86, 0.82, and then the second week just completely turns it around. The series against Midnight, the series against Optic, played superbly well. Definitely traditional John, and you can see that progression of his throughout all of the matches he played seemed to get better and better. If that carries on into this event, he's definitely a player to watch, not only because he's absolutely been crushing people on certain maps, but also because if he does play well, LG have a chance. And I think the number one spot is a bit of a no-brainer here. It's got to be Dashy from Optic Gaming, because this guy was an absolute monster at CWL Vegas. The kind of stats he was putting up was something that we've never really seen the likes of before in a Call of Duty event. Whether he can keep that going into this one is super interesting, because we haven't seen him at the Pro League qualifier because Optic won the event. They qualified straight into the LAN League. We haven't seen him in the league because he supposedly had these visa issues. Now it's all sorted out. He's going to be back on LAN here performing in that Maddox role, and we'll have to see what he can do, because not only is this guy a guy to watch in terms of, wow, like what a player, this is incredibly entertaining to watch this guy just crush everyone, but also to see what kind of level he can perform at here, because I don't really think many people are expecting him to get back to that Vegas level, because that was something else. Of course, he had the Tempest in hand, which is super strong at the time, so maybe that was a little bit of a benefit in terms of the KD department. But yeah, if he can perform like that again, this is something else we could be witnessing in Call of Duty right now. So definitely a guy to keep your eye on, because if he does play well, Optic, well, they're already the favourites, especially with him back on the team. If he doesn't have such a great tournament, we'll have to see whether Optic Gaming can adapt to that, and whether he really is the most important player on their team, or whether they still have the talent around him to get them through games. So I think on all dimensions, the fact that we haven't seen Dashy on LAN for 3 months is a big reason why he's on my #1 spot on the top 5 players to watch. So this is the KD over the entire event, over 28 maps at CWL Las Vegas. The last time we saw Dashy had a 1.44 KD, a 1.56 adjusted KD, and that is thanks to his unbelievable search and destroy play. 2.2 KD over the entirety of the tournament. It's just incredible work. Haven't really seen anything like that. Over 9 maps as well. A relatively solid number. So yeah, Dashy's my man to watch. So to conclude the video, I want to talk through some honourable mentions because these are the kind of names that I wrote down when I was making some notes for this video. So definitely you can make honourable mentions for the changes that has been made. Of course, Envoy into Gen G, Attach into Evil Geniuses, Chino going to that Enigma 6 squad, Parasite of course back in the league where the Saints can perform to the level we'd expect on that Midnight team. EXG as well, of course a completely new squad. How well is Bracken Jet Li going to do under a different environment, for example? Parzelion onto that UYU team. Can him and Methods sync up as we would like, considering they're traditionally rather slow players? Of course, we've got the struggling players as well, whether these guys can really perform to the level that we need to see of them if they're going to compete. So Apathy on Envy could be a good honourable mention. He hasn't been so great, neither is Assault, I guess, on that team as well. I guess you can put Aches' name in the hat as well, but he's kind of the ringleader, so I'm not sure you would consider getting rid of him anyway. Of course, Apathy does tend to continue to get better throughout the year, as John does, so maybe that's something to consider. Probably why I didn't put him on this list right here. Accuracy on Splice as well as he had a very good Vegas overall, like a 1.08, something like that. Pro League has not been as good by any means. This guy needs to start performing if Splice are going to look like the team they did at CWL Vegas where they, could have beaten Optic. Kenny on 100 Thieves, another one, not necessarily struggling nowadays, but this guy, of course, was an absolute monster last year. Has been looking better in the last couple of days of the Pro League, of course, and yeah, if he can perform well here on 100 Thieves, definitely some opportunity for them to go a long way. Bance as well on Red Reserve. He's probably the player that's been catching the most flack on this team for not necessarily performing how a lot of Red Reserve fans would like. So yeah, if he doesn't perform great, then maybe a change has to be on the cards come the April the 8th transfer window. Whether Red Reserve will decide to act remains in question. And then of course we've got the dominant players, the guys who we expect to be super entertaining to watch, just going to be wrecking house the entire weekend. Gunless on LG, Priest on 100 Thieves has been a monster, and then of course Hug on that Envy team. Of course they're not guaranteed to get out of the group with Optic, E United and Reciprocity in there, but Hug probably in one of those series will go off and dominate something or other. So whether Envy can actually close out and win that series or win multiple series is still up for grabs right here. Of course it's Aches versus Optic in the pool, so maybe that's another matchup to watch as we go through it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new, tune in right now. Now I saw this on Twitter for the schedule. Now on CoD Gamepedia it says that all the pool play matches will be done today on Friday, and then Saturday there's no more pool play, but this seems to imply that pool play is also going on Saturday. Same with the open bracket, so I guess the open bracket is going to be finishing up on Saturday at some point, and then Sunday of course we have the conclusion to the championship bracket, and we'll be able to see who's going to be crowned victorious. So I'm going to be covering the event as I usually do. Hope you guys enjoy it. I certainly will. Like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Dying from B. Oh. Shit on. Oscar was the guy that grappled, was like ruined. He went back into their mid, I think he grappled away. Bob was down in their mid, by the way. Okay, moving up.
Be around, there's no over.
I just shit on this guy. Oh, see, I thought this was the bomb, that's weird. So weird.
Wait for your splash list.
Try and get it back again.
Back again.
Bomb deactivated.
Guns?
You make this look easy.
Back again.
Oh yeah, here we go. Shit on.
Those guys are cash